Astro 1 Summer Rain. If you want to know about the intro music, you want to listen to all 3 minutes of it. And besides, I cut it off at 14 seconds, gang, because you want me to play for 30 seconds? Some of y'all get irritated at that. You want to vibe with it. Now you can vibe on your own time, but I digress. There you go. So there's your episode 20 something. What and why? Plato's Allegory of the Cave. This is a fundamental teaching. Really, the one thing that my father taught me. And I remember I asked my dad, he was a very philosophical man. And I asked him, well, Dad, what's your favorite philosophical story? And he said, Plato's Allegory of the Cave. I said, oh, interesting. Okay, why not? And I want to tell you this story because I'm not sure if school even talked about it. I don't even think outside of my relationship with my father have I ever heard this allegory. So I was blessed to realize, wow, there's some smart brothers out there and they've been dead for a minute. Plato was if I'm not mistaken, a Greek philosopher, and he talked about that, like kind of like Socrates and that kind of swaggeroo, but I don't know why. This is the only one that seemed to stuck to me. This essentially talks about the what and the why of life. But he calls it the allegory of the cave. An allegory is not even a real story. It's just like a sub story, but with a deeper, real life meaning. Now, the cave. You can look it up online. I'm going to butcher it, but I want to give you the Cliff Note version of why this is important and why this kind of shaped my understanding and character of what truth is. How you should probably formulate this as your own integration. Oh my goodness, integrate this into your own understanding of how you see the world, so you don't have emotional spasms like most people do. They just react to the world when they ought to be asking questions and figuring out about the world. But I digress. So the story begins with us in a cave. We're chained and we're all staring at the wall. We're chained in this cave together, and we're all staring at the wall. And at the wall, we see images of monsters. Imagine like shadow monsters, like just, yeah. And one guy wises up, and he's like, that's interesting. He looks around, he's like, there seems to be a light behind us. And he figures, I'm gonna figure this out. So he gets away. He breaks the chains, whatever. He gets out and he goes up, and they're like, "No, don't go, because the monsters up there will eat you." Right? Fear of the unknown. It sounds like that sounds pretty legit. There's monsters on the wall. God forbid, there's probably monsters out there. It's a shadow, right? The guy's like, I'm gonna take my chances, and he goes out, and there's no monster. It's just like a it's like a twig, it's like a tree branch, and it's the sun. So basically, it's like, oh, there's no monsters out here. It's just a tree. It's the sun and a tree. It's all an illusion. But the tree's really high up, so you can't like take it down with him. And he's like, okay, whatever. So I'm not gonna climb a tree and break my ankles. I'm just gonna go back down there and tell him what's up. He goes back down. He's like, hey guys, there's no monster. It's just he tells them the truth, and they kill him. And it's like, what? And they don't kill him. He gets like mortally wounded. I'm gonna like abbreviate the story. And he climbs back out of the cave, and he basically bleeds out and dies in the sunlight, and they all die in the cave. So, symbolism aside, what's the moral here? Okay, one guy dies free. Everyone dies in the story, Andre. That's right. But one guy dies free, and everyone else dies in the cave. The question is, how do you want to live your life and how do you want to die? Do you want to die free, or do you want to die with questions? Now, I'm not saying we're going to have all our questions answered, but what I am saying is notice the quality of life you live. Do you want to keep living a life where you're just. Let me say it this way. It's funny because when we sleep at night, we turn off the lights. That's all right. But imagine waking up and it's still dark. Imagine waking up trying to find the light switch. Imagine waking up just bumping your feet against things all the time. Oh, that would be very frustrating, right? Especially when you're aware of the light. Here's the key thing to note, though: you're aware of the light. And that's how you should probably be thinking about the rest of your life. Are you settling with the shadows? Or are you willing to search for that light switch? That's why I said the what and the why. You'll hear a lot of things of what's happening, but you fail to understand why it's happening. That is the object that casts the shadow. Everyone's saying there's monsters. He's trying to figure out, why are there monsters? Are there really monsters? There's actually another book. I'll give you one more analogy, actually. Uh, you don't climb the mountain so the world can see you. You climb the mountain so you can see the world. Huh? Why don't you need to have all the answers, Andre? You don't need to have all the answers. It's just, I beseech thee, brethren, to seek an understanding, for that is the height of mastery. Or should I say, learning? You'll notice Jesus and the Apostle Paul, they don't give straight answers. They give them stories and allegories to facilitate thinking. If you do not think or understand why something is what it is, you you think everything's hell bent against you or this world's just haphazard. No, once you begin to realize that everything has a Genesis and an Exodus, everything that you see on the outside came from the inside, everything was designed. And you begin to realize, oh, maybe everything's more, even a broken watch, a cheap broken watch was made by somebody. Once you begin to realize just how crazy this world is, crazy in that it's designed to be, you begin to recognize your own abilities as well. Every book, every shoe, every piece of clothing you got. You go ahead, touch those clothes. You feel that? You feel your clothes? Yeah, you feel that? Feel your socks? Yeah, someone made that. Someone designed that in their mind. And it was made, that didn't just spawn out of the grass. Yet for some reason, we're surrounded by so much awesomeness, we just don't recognize it. We're just kind of numb to it for whatever reason. I guess it's because whatever you get freely, you just take for granted. Your heart, your mind, your soul, your love for your country, etc. You take it for granted because it was given to you. Now, granted, you bought it, but you didn't have to actually make it. If you had to make it, good God, you would keep those socks forever. If you had to make the shirts you buy, oh my goodness, you best believe I wouldn't be disrespecting these shirts. I'm just saying, you have to buy it and make it. Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother dimension. I digress again. But the what and the why of Plato's allegory, why I love it, is it forces us to think about the nature of things. We don't look at things like, oh, look, there's shadows on the wall and there's monsters. You have to go beyond that. You have to think. Or as Napoleon Hill says, men simply don't think. They say, what's the one thing that people are failing today? People just don't think. And what is thinking? Thinking means that you have to be willing to have an ego death. You have to be willing to say, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And guess what? That's the first step. But not a lot of people make that step because that would hurt my ego. Oh man, I don't want to be wrong. I'd rather just pretend I'm right and be done with it. Makes me feel good about myself. Only problem is 20 years, 30 years down the line, what do you got? The mortgage is due, your health is declined, and you're on the brink of mental insanity. How's that working for you, champ? Someone's got to tell you that because it's like, okay, you gave yourself a half truth and it doesn't serve you. That sucks. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yes, the what and the why. So, your next test, or homework, I should say, is before you react to something, ask a question. Ask why. Well, Andrea, what if I'm not interested? Okay, don't ask if it doesn't concern you, like someone says, I got you. Isn't it funny? especially in social settings, if you ask why, if you get people to talk about themselves, you're like the most popular person in the room. You know, you just keep asking why. And some people, I guess you could say some people get weirded out by that because it's like, well, Andre, a game of 20 questions, you know, you got to integrate. Well, are you going to talk about Copernicus while you got your nails done? I don't know. Golly, talk whatever you want to talk about. But to me, I find human beings to be interesting when you ask about the origin of their reasons. I think the funniest one I've done, honestly, in my opinion, is when I ask, hey, why, where did you get that shirt? I don't remember. Why do you wear that shirt? Oh, I don't know why. Oh, goodness gracious. Or, hey, where do you work? Here. Why do you work there? Why do I work there? Huh. I don't know why I work there. I'm serious, man. Some people straight up answer like, oh my God. They don't even know why they work at that job. You know, you think they say for a paycheck, but it's like, that's not even the first answer that comes in their head, dude. Like, isn't it crazy? If you really think about it, if you want to be successful in this world, if you really want to be uh, just just decent at anything. Just have a good reason. Just have a good why. That alone would separate you from the pack. Like you're just conscious of your life and where it's going and why you're going in that direction. That alone would put you in the higher echelons of human society. Or at least consciousness. And if you're conscious of it, I guess you can make decisions that orient yourself towards that. Well, there you go. Plato's Allegory of the Cave. There is one more book, and this was what I was going to reference. There's actually a book that's, I would say, an allegory of this. It was called The City of Ember. Wow, I can't even. I read that in grade school, ironically, and I love how that book was just a reflection of this. How this little girl, she has to choose, okay, do we die in the city because the light's flickering, it's basically underground, and there's like this giant proverbial light bulb, and it's going out, and obviously if it goes out, all hell's gonna break loose, right? How are they gonna survive with no light? Like, how's that gonna work out? They got candles, but that's a meme. Anyway, so the girl's like, okay, I'm gonna go outside the city's walls and find something to fix this, right? Or we gotta find a better solution. They're like, no, if you go out, there's monsters and no one ever returns. She's like, we stay here, we're gonna die. So I'm gonna take my chances. Give me this headlamp, give me some candles, I'm gonna figure this out. So, same concept as Plato's allegory. Why aren't we going beyond the parameters of our understanding to seek the truth? Why? Why? Oh, because it's dangerous. Well, if we stay, that's just as dangerous. It's destined death. So I'm gonna have to take my chances and realize that what you're suggesting is garbage. Is when you say it out loud, our inevitable doom or a chance at survival, which one do you take? I mean, it's kind of well, it's yeah. When you say it like that, it's kind of obvious. So with that, what's your allegory? What are the shadows that you're scared of? And why are you scared of them? Are you willing to figure out are they really monsters or are they just illusions of monsters? And maybe you're right, maybe they are freaking monsters. I mean, I'm not arguing here. I'm not telling you you're crazy. I'm just saying, like, how do you know for certain? Or as one expression psychologist says, the devil I do know is not as bad as the devil I don't know. Then the question is, well, how do you know? You don't know. The fear of the unknown, which only proves how powerful the human imagination is. The human imagination inadvertently is very negative. But why is it negative? I'll give you this for free and we're done. It is much more important for your psyche to remember the berries that kill you than the ones that are plump and juicy. That is to say that we've been hardwired over evolution, or I'll say over the years of mankind. Our brains are wired to notice negative, murder, death, destruction, poison, bad. Why? Because that is an inherent issue to my survival. That's more important for me to know. Who cares about the firefighter that saved the cat? I need to know about the fire that didn't save the cat, right? That's probably more important for my survival, obviously. More integral. Or as a journalist once told me, if it bleeds, it reads. No one wants to read about the planes that land, the 500 planes that landed. They want to hear about the two that crashed and which airline it was so I can avoid the hell out of it. Woo-wee. So, with that, think on that. And hey, if you like that philosophy, look into other ones. There's more about it. But that's the one that always stuck with me and it's served me pretty well. All right. You survived another episode of Still Waters. Maybe I'll send medals to people at some point. Give them an emoji. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Until then, you got a medal in the spirit. You have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you later. Deuces.